Okay, we are live. Hello, 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 everyone. For those of you who are just tuning in, I am your host, one of your hosts, Miss Kayla, here on the DTAC Takeover Show on Total Praise Radio. As always, we are highlighting and we are spotlighting some of our entrepreneurs and business owners out here who are making the names for themselves, who've chosen them. They've chosen to be their own boss. And this young lady here with us today is no different. I have Ms. Valerie McDowell. She is your book coach, Excel-erator. I like that.
Yes.
Excel-erator. Hello, Miss Valerie. How are you?
Hey, Kayla, good to be on Total Praise Radio.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you?
Who am I? Well, I am Valerie McDowell. I'm a writer, editor, author, book coach, and consultant. And I work with writing and time challenged clients, helping them get their stories told, their books published, and their dreams fulfilled.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
You got to be ready.
You are ready. I'm with it. Okay,
Yes.
so how did this start for you?
Well, the thing is, in terms of writing, I've always been writing, and
Mhm,
a few years back, well, actually, when my son was young, I used to just kind of get through the season of adolescence by just writing little stories about things that were happening, and
mhm,
that led me to writing my first book. Because I went to a book signing with a friend, and
mhm,
I read the book like in line, getting it signed, and I was like, you
mhm.
know what? You need to take those 30, 40 stories you wrote and you need to figure out how to get a cover on it and get it published. And I did. And then I was in business because once someone heard about me doing a book, they were like,
Mhm,
Val, can you help me write my own? And they were
mhm.
willing to pay me. And I'm like, okay, we could do
Okay.
this. So yeah. So my first book was called Oh Boy. And
Oh,
it is a collection of short stories and
okay.
observations from the world of boys for mothers. So, particularly from mothers of boys, but I think mothers of girls, it would fit as well. So,
Mhm.
these were just some of the adventures we had during adolescence.
Ooh,
He's a
I know there's some
handsome young man
stories.
now. Huh?
I know there's some stories in there
Yeah.
that you have. Has your son, has he read them?
Oh, definitely. And now he's in a season of his life. Well, he's at the very beginning of a new season of his life with a new baby. So
Oh,
he's gonna be able to experience some of this for himself.
absolutely. Absolutely. So then from there, what was next?
Well, I have been working actually. I There are many aspects of my life. I have
Mhm.
worked in juvenile justice for the last 21 years. So
Wow.
I was making a transition and it wasn't the great resignation as everyone, but just I just needed to make a switch. I needed to do something different. I already was doing writing and other projects in my community and for other
Mhm.
people anyway. And I just decided to take the plunge at the end of 2021 and launch full time.
Got you. Got you. So writing has been significant for you in your life, period. So were you like writing as a kid as well?
Oh, definitely. I was reading very young, 2 or 3, and that led me to reading everything in the house. I literally used to read the dictionary for fun. I was that kid. So I
Wow.
knew a lot of words, but I
Mhm.
I needed something to do with them. So I started making up stories. I love how Shonda Rhimes says, "Look, I make up words, I make up stories for a living. This is what I do. I make stuff up."
Right.
That's the beauty of words that you can create. I mean, this is what the movies are about. This is what stories are about. You take what you know or you create it. And
Okay.
that's just powerful for me.
That is. That is. So now, like, did your parents, did you bug them reading around, going around, just reading everything in the house? Or did they,
Um,
you know what?
like, we're having breakfast. I'm reading a cereal box, okay? My father used to order for those of a certain age. There was a kind of online or you ordered in the mail called Reader's Digest. And so every couple of months they sent you books. And I read all those. I was the kid who got like awards because I read 50 books in a year or 100 books in a year. And, that
Oh,
movie was
you
so
were that
good.
kid. I was
Like, I
never
would have
that
been bringing
kid.
books home from the library. Once I had a library card, I'm like, "Ooh, we are good now.
All the books.
I got all the books."
All of the books. I
Yeah.
was never that kid. I always wanted to, I aspired to be that kid. But for me, when it comes to
Mhm.
reading,
Mhm.
It has to be, and it's not necessarily like fiction or nonfiction. I don't necessarily have a preference. It
Mhm.
just has to be something that's going to grasp my attention
Yes.
and keep it, or
Mhm.
I will get bored and I'm done with it. And
Right.
there's so many books that I have gotten into like a middle point and then I just don't go back to.
Well, I have so many clients who have some fabulous books. I just thought about one. Her book is called Finding My Way Back to Me. She's got a whole playlist of R&B and hip hop songs in her book because that was how she got through her book.
Oh,
So you might want to get that.
ooh, that's an idea. We're gonna have to get
Finding My
her.
Way Back to Me, Sissy Jones. And I may have to call out every client I've done now.
You're like, wait a minute, what about my book?
Look out, Accelerator authors.
Okay, so what kind of services do you offer? You're a book
Well,
coach.
yeah, I offer a number of things, and it really starts first with the conversation.
Okay.
Understanding what is it you want to do. What is the point? What is the purpose? What is your story? Because
Mhm,
I need it to be, just like you were saying, like I don't want to be bored. I don't want to, I want to, make sure that that story is going to grab your attention. From the first page.
mhm,
We need that first line to come off the page. And because I love words, I'm a word girl. So it's like I need that story to like I'll listen to you for a few minutes and then it's like I'm listening for the clues and the
mhm,
cues, like ooh, ooh, ooh. Like I'm waiting for something to kind of hit me. And
mhm.
then I'm like, oh, there it is. That's the story. Okay, we can move forward now. Because every story, not that it's not a good story, but it may not be a book,
Mm.
you know?
What makes you kinda how do you choose, like, which one is made for a book and which
Um,
one might be used
and
for something
again,
else?
it's that I mean, it's sort of like, you go to movies and it's like you watch something, you're like, "Oh god, I can't believe I paid this much money."
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, but it just may not have been for you, and that's why I ask my clients a number of questions, one of which is who is your audience? Because you have to write to your audience. What I said about my first book, Oh Boy, it was written to mothers of boys. So that's a very
Mhm,
specific audience.
mhm.
It's like it could work for mothers of girls, or anyone. It has a lot of very funny
But that
stories.
wasn't your target, though.
But that wasn't my target, and so,
Mhm,
from radio, you all have target audiences,
mhm.
we all have someone who's gonna listen to everything is not for everyone. So
Right.
knowing who your market is, knowing who your audience is key, and that's one of the things with the book. You need to know who are you writing this for?
Okay, okay. So, Miss Valerie, I'm coming to you. I'm a potential client, and I say, "Yo, I wanna tell my life story."
Okay,
Where do you
okay.
where do we go from there?
Well, we have a number of services that you can take advantage of. One is my online course,
Okay.
and it is a course in which I walk you through every aspect of getting your book done all the way to publish. I, help you with an outline. I help you narrow that topic down because part of the reason it's hard to write a book initially is
Mhm.
because you have so much in your head, so many things
Yeah.
you think could be a great story, and many are. But, understanding maybe you have 4 books in you. Let's just
Mhm.
start with the 1.
Right,
You know, so
right.
that online course is, a way for you to kinda, go online. A lot of people taking online courses, this pandemic era we live in has
Mhm,
made us all go online. We're online
mhm,
now. And
mhm.
so you can go through the course. It's just 8 modules. And like I said, I teach you everything you need to know, even editing, layout, cover design, all the way to publishing in that course. And so you can do it yourself. If you are of that mind and you are focused and you're consistent, you can get it done. And I also offer weekly coaching for anyone who takes my online course. So I come on once a week with you
Mhm,
to just answer your questions. I don't have an agenda, it's for you. I come in if you're like, Valerie, is that a good title? What do you think about this title? Or
mhm.
here's my introduction. What does it need? So I'm there to help you get through that. Another service I offer is ghostwriting. For
Okay.
some people, it's like, nah, like
Yeah,
not the book. Like, I'm not writing nothing. I'm
yeah.
a talker or I'm a whatever. Look, you're the writer, and I have a lot of friends say that. I can say something like, "Can you write me a recommendation?" And they'll be like, "Can you write
Yes,
it and I'll
I
sign it?" I'm like, "Really? Like,
can.
I've known you my whole life. Can you not write a three words for me?" But the thing is with ghostwriting, it's just not their thing, or they need it in a certain amount of time, or they just need a different, way to get this done. People are busy. And it's
Mhm,
like, and that's one of my premium services, but we get it done. And 6 months to 9 months, depending on what we're writing.
Mhm.
And many of those books are for my business clients, who already have a big business or business that they're running. And so
Mhm.
the book is just an addition to that, when they're out on speaking engagements and things like that.
Mhm.
But for any of these, you can become a speaker from your book. And my other service is the one-to-one where you're working directly with me. So we spend from 3 months to 6 months. Like I've gotten books done in 3 months, and I'm like some meat and potatoes in those books. Like you've got a
Mhm.
real book here. And we're writing, like, one of my clients, her book is called I Quit. Rachel B. Foy, she is on the radio. I
Okay.
Quit. And she quit, like, listening to what wasn't working for her. She quit
Mhm.
allowing people to say stuff. And the thing is, I love my clients. I love the work that I get to do because, we are digging into stuff. It ends up becoming ministry. It ends up being
Mhm.
therapy.
Mhm.
It's all kinds of things that happen. So that one-on-one in particular, because we usually meet 2 to 3 times a month and we
Mhm.
work that book out. I mean, and it's some work
Mhm.
because often there are stories or there are aspects of your story that you've never even talked about. And
Yeah.
I think one of my superpowers is listening to your life.
Yeah.
Like I can hear sometimes what you're not saying,
Yeah.
or I know when something's missing. And that was the case with Rachel, that you may have shared the story, but you didn't share the whole story.
Mm.
And the thing about it is that people know when it's not all there. I mean,
Yeah.
you've been in a dating relationship, you've been in other stuff. You're like,
Mm-mm. Some ain't adding up.
right. So it's just like, okay, I understand, but is there more? And they
Mhm.
may be like, no. And you're like, you sure? And so I'm that, you sure, kind of person
Mhm.
because I'm a push a little. I'm a coach. That's what coaches do. We push
Yeah.
you. We's like, come on, you can do this. You can do this.
Mhm.
Let's get some more. Write me some more. Let's pull it out. And then the other aspect of working one on one with me is that I help you craft that story. We
Okay.
tweak those titles, those subtitles, those words. You're going to get 4 levels of editing with that. And of course, you're going to get it with ghostwriting because I'm pretty much writing that, myself. But
Right.
with the one-to-one coaching, you get, very specific marketing advice. You get, honed in services. You get the focus on you directly.
Got
And
you.
and so the process even, really is something that helps you to move forward with your book.
Got you. Got you. So even just to piggyback off of now, you're pulling these things out of your clients.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'm sure you've been in a situation to where it was like, okay, I have this story. It's powerful, but it's gut wrenching. It's a lot of pain that
Mhm.
I'm ready to let out. How do you encourage that person who's probably hesitant for many reasons, whether they think they're going to be shamed, whether
Mhm.
it's maybe it's a family member that
Yeah.
hurt them and but this is a part of their life that they have to tell and they're not sure of the reception of it. How do you encourage that writer?
Well, believe it or not, that's actually a lot of stories out here.
Yeah.
A lot of the book writing right now is getting things out, not allowing the past to keep you from moving forward because there are many people who were taught you don't talk about this, you don't deal with this,
Mhm.
you let that, you just move on, keep on
Yeah.
going. And some of that is from, negative things that have happened, particularly in our culture, where people just never learned to express their emotions because they weren't allowed to. And
Mhm.
so that has become something that gets passed down. And so now when you're an adult or even, middle age, you're
Mhm.
40s, 50s, 60s, and you've never talked about this, you've never shared this. It's
Yeah.
like it's hard to get it out because, and like you were saying, because there are other people involved. There are family members, people you don't want to hurt. So the
Yeah.
first thing I say is like, we are not writing a get you book.
Okay. Okay.
It's not because my background has taught me and I stand on it is that what is the hope in this book? You know, can we give some hope even if it's some tragedy, even
Mhm.
if some things going on, is there hope in this book? Are you able to move forward? Because some things I even tell people that's a diary. You need to keep it to yourself. Get it all
Mm.
out, but keep it to yourself.
Okay.
But if it is for other people to read, again, going back to that audience, what is the message? What is the
Mhm.
point? What kind of transformation do you want someone to have? Is this motivational? Is this inspirational? It's like,
Mhm.
what are you offering to your reader? And then the thing is, even in the working out that story, when it's difficult, I mean, I've dealt with clients who they've been molested, they've been
Yeah.
raped, domestic violence, all the things, that are
Mhm.
terrible. They've
Yeah.
lost money, lost homes, lost children,
Mhm.
estranged family members, everything,
Mhm.
cancer diagnosis, deaths, a
Yeah.
lot of things that have happened. And it's like, but the story should be, how do I recover? How do I move beyond this? How am I able to help you get through yours? Or even honestly saying, you know what? I'm 30% forward. I'm
Yeah.
not one at 100%. I'm
Yeah.
30%, but I was at 0 3 months ago.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
moving forward. And so being able to encourage people and say, you know what? And so part of that process does happen in the book writing, because
Mhm.
sometimes there might be a chapter where it's going to take you a minute,
Yeah.
to get through it. And that's why I say a lot of my books, meat and potatoes books, they're not just kind of fluff, because sometimes, which is why, when people are ready and they've kind of done the process, it might only take 3 months, but you might need
Mhm.
6 or longer. But
Mhm.
this is generally the amount of time, because you might need to process, you might need to sit with that. You might need to admit that, no, that was you. It was
Mm.
and
Mm.
even accepting that, particularly if you believe you've grown, then you have to acknowledge some things. Because I'm gonna ask you some questions. It's like, oh, okay. So what was their response?
Mhm.
Or how did you get into that situation? Or did you know that before you?
Yeah. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's sort of like owning up to your part in it, you
Mhm.
know, so that again, getting back to that, because people can read you, they're like, you sure about that?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Because I believe that people connect more to authenticity and
Yes.
truth, even if it's hard.
Yes.
And shout out, I know I have posted on my personal page, but that movie, the Netflix From Scratch, I mean, all the feels. It's a beautiful story, and then it's a tragic story, and then it's like, I mean,
Oh.
why am I crying so hard? But you want that. That means it's a wonderful story because it's taking you on a roller coaster. Like if
Yes.
if there are no emotions, no feelings, no aha moments, no,
Mhm.
I never thought about it like that. If your book doesn't evoke any kind of emotion,
Sure.
yeah,
Then yeah.
then somebody may not finish it.
That's true. That's true. So now do
They're
these
like, it's okay.
it's like, it's alright. It's
Yeah,
alright.
but they
So
need to
now
see themselves in it. You know,
got you.
need to
Got
see,
you.
because people are, selfish in the sense of like, if I'm gonna pay my money for this book, what am I getting out of it?
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
And that's just truth. It's like if I buy this outfit, if I get my hair done, if I go on this trip, what am
Whatever
I
it is.
getting out of
Yep.
it?
Yep.
It's the same with the book.
Absolutely. So now do you so are you going through those motions during this process as well with that person? So like
Yes.
so if it's pulling you, you're like, okay, yeah, this is
Yeah.
it.
If I Yeah, and that's what I said about the I Quit book, because I was like, and once she, the story with that is like, I asked her, I said, there's more. Once I asked her a second time, and then she said the third time I asked her, she was mad. She was like, "Gosh darn it, and she typed mad, like,
Yeah.
you know, and she just emailed it off to me, and she didn't say anything. But she said she cried the whole time she typed it. And
Mm,
when I read it the next day, I cried the whole time reading it. But that was the
mm.
truth. That was
And
the
you was like,
honest,
you know what?
that
Yeah,
was the
this is it.
authenticity of that moment. And she said when she's out on speaking engagements, which has, been one of the benefits of her writing the book, is
Mhm.
that particular story that I pushed her to finish is the one that people always relate to the most.
Yeah. Yeah. You were like, I knew it.
Right. Right.
Aha.
Yes,
So have
and
you
so it's a
written?
beautiful feeling, because when it's just, it's that thing that gets them over the edge, and it turned out
Mhm,
to be something she had never shared, and she
mhm,
thought it was the reason something else happened in her life, and so she wasn't free in her own self to share it, but once she wrote it down, it
mhm,
released just a flood of emotions, and really the guilt of, that, and that's what
mhm.
many times actually being in a safe space, which I know it's an honor that I get to do this, that people invite me into their lives, because we go deep.
Yeah.
We talk about stuff, and I say
Sure.
stuff, and I call it out,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
the same happens to me,
Mhm.
but it's like you have to be willing, because it is a journey. I mean, our lives are journeys. It's like the destination is the journey.
Got
But we have to live now. It's like stuff is going to happen every day,
yeah.
but you got to keep going.
Yeah.
You
Sure, sure, sure. So now are there different genres? Like have you written like a fantasy book before that you write, or are you kind of,
Um,
kind of one genre mostly?
well, I've like the so we have the old boy,
Mhm.
which is stories about my son. I've got Return on Investment, which actually is a teaching I did, and I turned it
Okay.
into a book. Um,
Okay.
so it's called Return on Investment: God's Plan to Get Out of You What He Put In. I did in April a collection called Love Is.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and it's and I actually had a lot of people in my community contribute to that, but I
Okay.
also was, yeah, I've also been a poet and spoken word artist. So some of my work is in there, and I was like, look, you
Oh,
have this
wow.
sitting on the shelf, you haven't ever got published. Let's just put this together, just even if you haven't finished your book, so you can see your name in something.
Mhm. Mhm.
And then I have, different clients who, and this one, I'm gonna turn it to the side because always joke with her, right? This
Mhm.
woman first came to me, and I'm looking for okay, I have it because she's working on her third book with me. She came to me with this children's book. So you're talking about
Okay.
different genres. Look out, okay? We about 24 pages here. We
Mhm.
about almost 400 here.
Wow.
Okay. So I do write in different genres. She definitely, I told her, you are a full-time, don't do nothing else author because you got way too many words for life. Like you need
Mhm.
to write 700 books because you got that many words. But
Mhm.
we went from children's book to suspense thriller.
Ooh.
And as an editor, also, I'm reading these books over and over again, making
Right.
sure one, we're checking, all the levels of editing, but even the story, making sure the
Yeah.
story is good. So I kept telling her, look, do I have to burn sage and light candles and pray
While
before
I read
I
this.
write? Yes. Because I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I don't do but so much. So I'm like, but they bring it all. And then even with some people, and I would say that for those people who really feel that there's a story inside of you, you have to do it. Here's a testimony. This is a woman from my church. Her book is called Not by Might nor by Power but by my Spirit. But a very godly title, a scripture,
Yeah.
even wonderful woman. But we published her book in March of 2021. She died in May of 2021.
Oh, wow.
Right. So you never know, how long you have,
Yeah.
but she was a wonderful person. And when they delivered the books and I got a copy first and I text her, it's like, oh, your book came to my house. And they actually live in my community. And so
Mhm.
she and her husband came over and she's like, oh my God, oh my God. I said, well, you have to sign my book, you
Yeah.
know, but not knowing that
Yeah.
was her book signing. Because
Wow.
before she could get everything in place,
Mhm.
but this is a woman who, overcame significant odds. Like she couldn't even talk or move. She was laid up in a bed for months.
Mhm.
She willed herself, and she was in a small group of mine, where I lead at my church. And
Mhm.
when she would hear little things about me, helping people write books, she's like, Val, I want to write a book. I said, now, you sure? Because this is serious business. This is real stuff here. And she's
Yeah.
like, no, no. And this woman who didn't even have a computer,
Wow.
okay, hadn't typed in years,
Wow.
but all the things, and she was someone. So you are able to say what it is you want. There's power in your words. Like I said,
Mhm.
I'm a word girl, and this woman declared and decreed some things, and one of which was she was going to write a book, and she did.
That's amazing. That is amazing, Miss Val.
So
So
she's one of
What?
those stories that just, oh, Miss Joyce. And she will
Yeah.
call you, be like, what you doing? Because she's like, I want to talk about my book. It's like, Miss Joyce, I'm working. Okay, I'm later. Like, okay, but can you make an appointment? I'll just call you later.
Right. That's all right. I'll go ahead and call you
Yeah.
later.
But she's the one, her last message to me, I still have it on my voicemail. So
Oh, that's nice.
yeah.
That's very sweet. So on average, I guess what's the shortest time that you have completed a book and have it published, and what is the longest?
I would say 60 days and a year.
60 days?
Yes. But they
60
were
days.
ready. They were ready, and I'm trying to think. I have his wife. If I slide back, you see I'm in my
I
office with
see you got it all.
so I just have to get on my shelf. I have several book rows of my
Mhm,
clients' books. So this would have been 60 days. I Will Die for You,
mhm.
understanding a husband's role in marriage.
Oh, wow.
But it was because his wife did a book,
A
and
focus
they're a
on
pastor couple
focus.
in 3 months, and he needed to beat her. And he literally just sent me the book. It was like, okay, here you go. Like what his draft manuscript. He was like, okay, here, figure out the cover, all that. And it's like,
Okay. So those
great.
so those are usually people who kind of have the book done.
Yeah. And he was very focused. He knew what he wanted. He was like, add, do whatever you need to do. Because I mean, every book is going to need editing, it's going to
Yeah.
need layout, it's going to need some tweaking here and there. But it was pretty clear, and he's a communicator anyway. So
Mhm.
what he wanted to say. And he was like, I don't want it long, it's for men.
Right.
They're not reading a bunch,
Right. That's
They
true.
don't read generally, they're not reading a lot. So get to
Mhm.
the point, you know, straight no tracer,
Right.
make it quick, get it in. And so we did that. His book was maybe 65 pages. Her book was 130 or so.
Mhm.
But again,
Wow.
it's like it's not even about the size. It's like, what are you saying? You
Yeah.
know, is it, having an impact? Because that's what it is. You want impact with your books. You don't want to just write anything.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
make sure, and then I've been showing you covers, but you see fabulous covers,
They are lovely. I've been looking at all of those. They are so nice.
right. And some do like the woman with the big book, like she has a family member who's a graphic designer, so he does her covers. But I
Yeah.
have other ones. I have some wonderful people. Here's another great cover,
Oh, that's pretty. Mhm.
Paying the Accelerator to a Life of Purpose. But like I said, I have a whole, multiple shelves back there, but it's also on my social media, images of my books. But, that's also, part of the process. You want an engaging book, because
Yeah.
people do judge a book by its cover.
They do.
Okay. That's like straight up like, oh, that's some
Mhm.
junk. Like, when it look handmade. Okay.
Yeah.
And by handmade, I mean basic template that you can go
That you use.
template.com or whatever. And no offense if there's a
Mhm.
template.com, but just, no design, no thought,
Yep.
just like, okay, that looks good. Okay, I'll do that. And
Yeah.
again, not to say it doesn't work, but you have to put as much thought into every aspect of the publishing process, you
Mm.
know? And
Mhm.
if you're, especially if you're going to be on the cover yourself too, make sure it's a professional photo.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, some selfies and other things work, you know, but we need a certain DPI level of quality.
That's true. Okay.
Okay, so it's
Better
some real
than
stuff. It's some
people who cut.
dimensions and
Yeah. That's
specifications and things that need to happen. So
that's
you look your best. I don't want
absolutely.
you just to look good in writing. I want you to look good in print. When that person holding that book, when they flip it to the back and see your photo as the author, I want
Yeah.
you to look good there too.
Yeah.
It's a whole, I want the whole package to be good.
Got you. Got
Mhm.
you. Well, this is amazing, Miss Val. So my last question before we wrap it on up, what's next for Power to Excel? What's next?
What's next? I mean, and it's like it's a constant evolving thing. I try to flow, and do a life of ease and grace, but I'm sure I'm gonna get to 100 books quickly. But also just helping people learn how to do this process. But because I'm a creative, I
Hmm.
know it's gonna kind of morph into other areas. I was speaking with someone. I may go into some centers to make sure we get some of those life stories of people before they're not here. There's a lot of stories. I mean, we know from movies like Hidden Figures and all those things were books
Yes.
that we didn't know those stories. One of my clients in 2021, we did a book called Water My Soul. She's a
Okay.
descendant of Black Wall Street. And
Mm.
we were able, that was a 3-month book. We were able to get her book done in time for the 100th commemoration of the Tulsa Race Massacre.
Oh
And
wow.
so, and Roland Martin was there, bought her book, got a picture of it and everything on my website, but he was there, but she had been collecting these stories from her family members because
Mhm.
both of her grandfathers had been enslaved in this country. Both of
Wow.
them. She's
Wow.
only 66. The fact that you have grandparents, like, your grandparents, were they enslaved? But hers were.
Right. Hers were.
Okay.
Right.
And
Oh wow.
so, and she's someone who's like, on her maternal side, her grandfather was 4 years old, sold away from his mother. So we
Wow.
are not that far away from
Nope.
some of the stuff. So when I talk to people about their stories, especially when it's difficult, I even do a training on how to talk about difficult subjects. It's that because so many of our families are only one, if not only two generations away from basic survival in this
Right,
country. That's
right,
it. Like
right,
they haven't had time to do stuff. They were just trying to keep a roof over their head and not be out in the elements, you know?
right,
So
right.
many of them never had the advantages. So the way we see things, particularly through social media, it's like, but your grandmother, they had an outhouse.
Yeah.
They didn't have any plumbing, at least a
Mhm,
bathroom inside, so things like that. It's not that far away. So I
mhm.
often tell my clients that we have to have grace for some of these stories. We have to forgive parents who, I hear a lot of stories about parents that were harsh. They came up, but it was like they didn't have time to be touchy feely, huggy, touchy. I love you all the time.
Right,
They were
right.
just like, I
Good.
got 8 kids.
Yeah,
We get to everybody in the bag. Okay, everybody got clean clothes on. Let's eat. Let's go. You
right.
know, versus all the benefits and kind of access we have now.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, we didn't have that just a generation ago. You
That's
know,
true. That's true.
some parents were blessed to be able to go to college. Many were not. You
Mhm,
know, and we're back to that again after one,
mhm.
2 generations. It's like the school I went to was $80,000 now. It's like what? So there are
Ooh,
lots of
mhm,
things that you have to allow grace for as you
mhm,
tell your stories, and even to offer forgiveness, because some things just aren't going to change.
mhm.
Like you can't change what happened, but you can definitely make strides to do your best moving forward. You know,
Absolutely.
and again, that's the hope that we want to always leave. It's like, but what benefit? What is the blessing that we can give with this book?
Absolutely. What's the purpose?
Yes.
Yeah, what is the purpose? Okay. It's been so nice talking to you, Miss Val. Before I let you go, can you let everyone know, for one, how they can book your services?
Well, they can go to bit.ly// get started on your book. Okay, bit.ly get started on your book. Or they can find me on social media. Facebook, it's Valerie, your book coach accelerator. On Instagram, it is book_coach_accelerator. And you can just put my name in, Valerie McDowell, on YouTube, and you'll find a whole host of videos because I go live and I post them there. So I tell you different things about writing a book, or give you tips or inspiration or motivation, or look here, all kinds of things we post there. So yeah, all my social media, even if you just Google me, Valerie McDowell, you'll get right there. Or you can go to my website. If you Google me, my website comes right up. It's
Mhm,
bookcoachaccelerator.com. And you can find out about all my services and see testimonials about real people and
mhm.
what they had to say about working with me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Miss Valerie, do you do audio books? Like, would you do an audio book?
I would, because I have done a lot of narration, so I'm looking
Yes,
into
I
how
love
to
your voice.
offer that. Thank you. I have a
So,
radio voice.
yes, like I could listen to you read to me.
Okay,
I
very good.
could.
Thank you. We'll put that testimonial.
I will.
But yeah, I actually am looking into that. And I was at a training this week, and another woman, she had a great voice. So I'm very sensitive to other great voices too. And I
Mhm,
said, wow. I said, because I used to do a lot of narration and I did it when I did theater and stuff. And I said,
mhm.
I would love to get your voice on something,
Yeah,
but
sure.
many people, because they're in their cars a lot, their kids, or that's their only escape,
Mhm,
and so listening to a book, or that's how they get through it. They
mhm,
have to hear it. Some people are auditory learners, and
mhm,
so being able to touch all the different ways that people learn so that they can get your content.
mhm, mhm.
So
Okay, well,
it'll be coming soon.
okay. So yeah, let me know when that drops. Okay, I'm gonna let you go for real this time. Until next time, everybody, I am your host, Miss Kayla, here on Total Praise Radio. Make sure you continue to follow Total Praise Radio by going to www.totalentradio.com. Select the Total Praise Radio button. Follow Total Praise Radio on Facebook. Join the group. Join Total Praise Radio on Facebook, the group. And like I said, until next time, I am Miss Kayla. We are signing out. Peace.